Once celebrated as the centerpiece of one of America's most watched reality TV families, Kate Gosselin is now living a life far removed from red carpets, studio lights, and national headlines. At 50 years old, the mother of 8 has quietly stepped away from the world of television and into a profession that demands not public appearances, but patience, endurance, and genuine care. Her days are now measured not in ratings or episode schedules, but in hours of hands-on work, where each moment carries both responsibility and emotional weight. In a recent TikTok video, Kate offered her followers a rare and unfiltered glimpse into her new reality, a reality far from glamorous, but deeply grounded in human connection. Speaking directly into the camera, she recapped what she described as a very busy day in her current role as a pediatric home healthcare nurse. Her tone was calm and steady, but the details she shared painted a vivid picture of dedication and the quiet, unseen labor that defines her life now. It was another 12-hour day, she began, describing how she had spent it entirely in the company of her young patient. She spoke about accompanying them everywhere. "We went all the places together. We went to a birthday party." She described moments of play in the water, hours spent outdoors simply because her patient wanted to be there, and how these shared activities blended seamlessly with the medical duties she was there to perform. "I, of course, did all of the medical care as well," she added. "Feeding, bathing, and all the things. Tasks that, while routine, require both technical skill and an attentive and compassionate presence." Her day did not end when her shift was over. Kate went on to describe returning home, transitioning straight into preparing for the next morning. "I work again tomorrow," she explained, detailing the small but essential evening routine, loading the dishwasher, setting it to run, and then heading to bed with the intention of waking early to repeat the process. In her words, there was a rhythm, a cycle of work, rest, and return that leaves little space for anything else. This candid snapshot into her everyday life sparked attention, not only because of how drastically it contrasts with her past, but also because of the questions it raised about her present. In the comments beneath her video, Kate addressed the curiosity directly, responding to those who wondered why someone with years of reality TV fame would still need to work such demanding hours. Her career in the public eye began in 2007, when TLC introduced Jon and Kate Plus 8, a reality series that offered audiences an intimate look at the challenges of raising her large family. Viewers watched as Kate and her then-husband Jon navigated life with twin daughters Maddie and Kara, now 24 and attending college, and sextuplets Hannah, Colin, Alexis, Aiden, Joel, and Leah, now 21. The show quickly became a cultural talking point, drawing millions of viewers who were fascinated by the logistics, energy, and discipline required to manage a household of that size. In 2009, after her very public divorce from Jon, the show evolved into Kate Plus 8, documenting her life as a single mother. The cameras captured milestones, everyday struggles, and the reality of raising 8 children under constant public scrutiny. For years, her life played out in front of a nationwide audience, complete with media interviews, press events, and the occasional tabloid headline. Now, more than a decade later, the woman who once juggled production schedules and the chaos of a televised home finds herself in a very different rhythm. There are no production crews waiting in the kitchen, no staged moments for the perfect shot, just the quiet, steady work of caring for others, both professionally and personally. It is a transformation that speaks to resilience, adaptability, and a willingness to keep moving forward, even when the spotlight has moved on. By the end of 2009, the curtain had fallen on Kate and Jon's marriage, but the drama between them was far from over. After their divorce was finalized in December of that year, the two became locked in what would become a long and exhausting custody battle, one that would stretch over the next decade and leave its mark on the entire family. Kate was granted primary custody of all 8 children, a responsibility that meant not just raising them day to day, but making all the major decisions about their education, healthcare, and future. However, by 2022, the family's living arrangements had shifted. 2 of the sextuplets, Hannah and Colin, were living with Jon full-time, while the other 6 children had little to no contact with their father.
The once unified image presented on television had long since fractured into separate households and complicated relationships. For years, speculation had swirled about the family's finances, particularly what had happened to the substantial income generated by their hit reality TV shows. That question came directly from one of Kate's social media followers, who bluntly asked, "What happened with all the income from the shows?" Her reply was candid and tinged with frustration. "Honestly, providing for 8 kids, college funds, which I am proud to say covered all of their college and more, and lawyers. Sickening, but I was dragged into court constantly, and that costs a ton," she wrote. Her words carried both pride and a weary resignation. She stressed how much she had invested in her children's futures, ensuring that each of them had a fully funded college education, but also pointed out the heavy financial toll of the ongoing legal battles. "Sad because my kids could have a lot more saved, and I could have a retirement saved if it weren't for lawyers," she added. Still, she refused to frame her current situation as hopeless. "It's okay. I'm helping other families, and I feel needed, and I enjoy helping." Those lines offered a glimpse into how she has reframed her life, channeling her energy into work that, while far removed from her television fame, provides her with a sense of purpose and connection. In response to another comment, Kate laid out the reality in even starker terms. "My kids got a good college fund, a beautiful home, and private school. The lawyers got the rest of it. I don't have a retirement savings. Reality TV doesn't pay as well as it should when you have to provide for 8 kids on your own." It was a rare moment of full transparency, a breakdown of how years in the public eye, coupled with relentless legal disputes, had left her without the financial cushion many assumed she still had. The image of wealth and security often projected onto reality TV stars, she made clear, didn't match the reality of her life after the cameras stopped rolling. For Kate, the cost of fame had not only been emotional, but undeniably financial, and much of that cost had been paid in courtrooms rather than on set.
One follower admitted they had long believed the reality TV series had guaranteed Kate and her family financial security for life. "I assumed the show meant you guys were set for life," the comment read, reflecting a common perception among viewers who had watched her years in the spotlight. Kate's reply was striking in its honesty, and it carried the weight of disappointment. "I wish," she responded plainly. "I spent so much money on attorneys. That killed us. So sad." Her words offered no sugarcoating, just a blunt acknowledgement of how much of the family's earnings had been consumed by years of legal battles. What for some had seemed like an endless stream of TV paychecks had in reality been drained away, leaving little of the security outsiders assumed she possessed. The way she phrased it, "that killed us," was both a financial statement and an emotional one, pointing to the exhausting impact of litigation on her life. From there, the conversation shifted away from money and into something far more intimate, what Kate truly missed from her time in front of the cameras. One fan observed that her life now seems so different and asked her directly what she longed for most about her TLC days. Her answer was filled with a quiet sadness and nostalgia. "I miss our house in PA, but mainly I miss when the kids were little. Not the stress, just their cuteness. At the time it felt like the days were long. But in hindsight, it sped by, and I'm sad." The details in her words painted a vivid mental picture. She wasn't talking about missing fame, production crews, or being recognized in public. What she longed for was the sound of small voices calling for her, the way the house once buzzed with the constant activity of 8 young children. She remembered the everyday routines, preparing meals, school drop-offs, bedtime rituals, and how at the time it had felt like the hours were sometimes endless. Yet looking back, she realized how fleeting those years had been. It was not the media attention or structured filming schedules she missed. It was the simple, unfiltered moments that could never be recreated. The chaotic breakfasts before school, the spontaneous laughter over something small, the way the living room would fill with toys and chatter. These were the things that, in hindsight, she now treasures the most. Kate's recent willingness to share these reflections marks a subtle but significant shift in her public presence. Just a month earlier, she had officially joined TikTok, telling her followers that she was healing and growing every day.
The choice of words suggested a period of recovery from public scrutiny, from personal challenges, and from the pace of a life once dictated by production schedules. By speaking directly to her audience on her own terms, Kate has begun to reclaim her narrative. In these candid exchanges, she has stripped away the polished image often presented during her television years. Instead, she talks openly about the financial realities, the emotional toll, and the bittersweet memories that still linger. The portrait that emerges is of a woman who has experienced both extraordinary public highs and deeply personal lows, and who is now working to balance her past with her present. She is someone who continues to carry the weight of her history, even as she builds a life outside the constant gaze of cameras. Perhaps that is the truest story of all. Not the fame, not the fortune, but the lasting imprint of a life lived under the eyes of millions, and the strength it takes to keep moving forward when the world no longer watches. And what about you? Do you think a person can ever truly return to a, quote, normal life after so much of it has been lived in the public eye? Or does that chapter remain a part of them forever, no matter how far they try to move on?